Hey, welcome to the Muscle and Fitness Nice Body series with me, Rob Richards. In today's show, we'll be taking a look at CrossFit. I'm here in downtown Los Angeles at the Trojan CrossFit gym to meet with Cameron, who's going to tell me more about the CrossFit community, the diet, and many of the different exercises and techniques. And then I'll be breaking down in my 3-part mini-series each of these different factors that really make up the CrossFit training methodology. But first, I think I need to change into something a little bit more appropriate and meet Cameron there in the CrossFit gym. Let's go. You must be Cameron.
Cameron.
What's your name? Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
This is an awesome space, much bigger than I thought it would be. So straight away, I got to jump in and say, you look like a guy who knows how to throw a weight around or two.
Thank you.
What are your stats? Because I know a lot of the audience members are going to be saying, well, what's your weight compared to mine, and what's your height? And I'm sure they're going to start to question your strength around here. But
yeah,
you know, what do you weigh?
I weigh 200.
200 pounds. So,
correct.
And how tall are you?
6 foot.
So I'm just 5'10" and just under 180. So it's 20 pounds more. That kind of tells you how this training helps transform and build that body. All right, enough about talking about stats. Let's get down to what they want to know, and that is CrossFit. What is CrossFit? What are the principles? What are the kind of foundations for that? What does it entail?
Well, CrossFit in a nutshell, without going through all the jargon, is basically performing well at everything, just being very broad and general and dynamic in our training. So we try to do as many things as we can that's possible. That's very functional. A lot of body weight movements. There'll be Olympic lifting. There's a lot of gymnastic background. Some powerlifting, even a lot of running, sprinting.
I like the sound of that.
It's a lot of your body.
So
yeah.
You have a wide range of people that come in. I've kind of often run past here, and I'm seeing that you have everyone from like hardcore athletes in here to like almost like powerlifter bodybuilders, and then you just have the regular Joes who come in and sort of jump right in there at the deep end. Is there a typical CrossFitter, would you say?
No, not really. It's everybody, really. There's people who've never worked out in their life walking to CrossFit gym because they heard about it or just seen us working out and they want to try it. And there's people who are professional athletes come in and just want to, expand their fitness and their knowledge and what they're doing. So there's a huge gap and difference from one person to the next.
I guess it's such a diverse range of different energy systems worked here, that metabolic system, your cardiovascular system, strength, endurance. I mean, you're kind of checking all of the boxes in one. Well, let's get down to kind of what the actual CrossFit workouts consist of. I know if I'm in the gym and I go in there, I'm sure you guys probably try and stay as far away from kind of my philosophy in the gym, but I would go in and say I'm going to train chest today or legs, and I'm going to stick within these exercises, and I'm going to do sets and reps and have rest periods in between.
Right.
That seems to be the flip for CrossFit. It seems to be. I mean, can you explain more on that?
Well, the difference is we do a lot of things you would see in a typical gym, minus the machines. You do a lot of body work.
Yeah, I don't see many machines in here.
It's a lot of functional, free weight that you use, how your body is supposed to move. You just incorporate weight with it.
Okay.
So what you do at the gym, typically, we would be doing here, maybe different movements, but you'd be doing it for time or as fast as you can.
Got it.
And you'd be supersetting things. So your anaerobic workouts are becoming aerobic at times. You're doing lighter weight for a longer period of time. You're doing a heavy weight for a short period of time. Everything is just go, go, go.
Is there a structure with that? I mean, do you have like Monday you do this and Wednesday you do that? Or is it just, this is the theme that we do today?
Yeah, well, here at Children CrossFit and a lot of well-known gyms and gyms who really perform well and succeed are ones that have good programming. So programming meaning they look ahead of the schedule. They program for a month at a time, say, and they make sure they're not overtraining any muscles, and you're getting a very good all-encompassing workout without overtraining.
Awesome. It seems it with the amount of equipment you have here. Speaking of which, let's have a little walk around, and I'd like to ask a few questions about because you have few equipment, but a lot of them. So obviously you're going to have classes revolving around multiple uses of that piece of apparatus and equipment. Starting behind with the jump box.
Yeah.
Tell me more about these.
This would be the boxes. So these are multi-side boxes. So depending on what side you lay it on, it'll be 20 inches, 24 inches, 32 inches.
Okay.
So depending on where you're at and your ability to jump up, or if you can't jump, even just to step up on top of a box. Everything in CrossFit is scalable. So it doesn't matter, like I said, where you start from. If you've never worked out in your life, or if you're an all-star athlete, like everything is scalable to that person's ability.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one thing to look good in the gym and to have six-pack abs or to have a big chest, but I mean, if you can't shift and move that body weight,
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of up here on that aesthetics, but right down here on that functionality part.
Correct. Yeah, I have a respect for all sorts of fitness, bodybuilding, everything. Like, I respect every part of it, but it's a big difference when there's someone who has size and strength and speed and agility, all those things, you know, wrapped up in one.
Absolutely, yeah, jack of all
trades. Makes a big difference.
Well, we're standing on what used to look like AstroTurf that I would play soccer on, football, if you're in England. Yeah. So you have a kind of a long length here. What are some of the exercises you would do here?
There's a lot of warming up that goes on here, but we also incorporate in a lot of our workouts will be sprints, shuttle sprints, maybe like 20-yard sprint, 5-yard shuttle sprints, just stretching for, you know, distance, carrying Atlas stones, logs, whatever it is for 30 yards, 40 yards, farmer's carries.
I like the sound of that. Handy. You mentioned about warming up, and I know that's big for within the CrossFit community, and it really is a community. We talk more about the kind of the ideals and even the diet a little bit later on, but you know, when I came in, you guys were kind of spending at least 15-20 minutes on the foam rollers and stretching out. How important is that for the type of activities that you do here?
Well, it's huge for one, the biggest thing is preventing injury. Right. And secondly, improving performance. So if your body is restricted by your ability, your mobility to get into a position or an exercise, it's going to hinder your performance greatly if, you know, those muscles aren't functioning like they should. And like I said, also preventing injury, just warming up, getting blood flow in there, stretching them out before you get into your workout. It's huge because there's a lot of dynamic movements in CrossFit and different you know, things you're going to be doing.
We spoke within a powerlifting segment, and we were talking about flexibility, and certainly within the MMA arena and preventative injury and just being able to maximize your body to its potential. That's something I think within the fitness world, and we're talking like gyms typically here, it's something that all of you guys and girls watching probably don't do enough of. So just a few tips maybe now about stretching and warm up, what would they be?
Stretch and warm up is number one, do them.
Yep, you got to
just force yourself. You got to get in there and you got to give your time, you know, yourself time to warm up properly. Like start out with something, just your body weight, running, rowing, treadmill, cycling, something to get the blood moving, and then stretch. You never want a static stretch cold. And another huge thing that's overlooked a lot of times is foam rolling, because you can do that when you're cold. You don't have to be warmed up for that, because you address the knots directly in those muscles to break them up.
That is pain. Yeah, but it certainly helps with the kind of training that we do.
Sure does.
Speaking of warming up, I see a whole bunch of like half a dozen or so rows over there. That seems to be a staple piece of equipment in any CrossFit gym.
Correct.
Why don't you have treadmills or bikes, or why is it that rower?
CrossFit likes to stay on the side of being minimalistic for one. So we like to
be openness of the space.
Okay. We like to use your, you know, like we were talking about, using your body weight and the mechanics. Treadmills will help you with running because obviously it's a, you know, revolving, you know, course that's coming and you're chasing the.
But you can run. You have all the space to run around.
We run outside. We do 200-meter runs, 400-meter runs, mile runs, 5K runs. We have everything measured out. Most CrossFit gyms do that. But the only equipment, machines that you'll really see in CrossFit is rowing, and that's extremely functional, and it translates directly into Olympic lifting. Teaches you how to drive off the heels and use the legs for driving your body away, and using the shrug and pull. Just like most Olympic lifting, you're going to be driving with the legs, you're going to be shrugging, you're going to be pulling, and that's everything rowing does, but on a more aerobic side.
One thing I really like about the CrossFit way is that everything, you mentioned it's scalable, but it's also very technical. Everything from like the ground up is about teaching proper form, technique, how to use the body for what it's intended for, and the exercises too. I mean, the kind of clean and press is probably one of the best strength and conditioning exercises. Throw into that some cardio training, some jumps, some sprints. I mean, that's pretty much everything you can do, and that's probably just in kind of one session that you would do.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on, because I see something familiar over there, and that is the rack. So I'm guessing variations of squats, clean and press, shoulder presses. Similar kind of reason for this. It's the main kind of compound dynamic movements. Yeah,
the racks are used for mainly Olympic lifting. Obviously your front squats, your back squats. We teach strict press, push jerk, split jerk. All those things.
A lot of jerks, basically.
You know, really.
Now, I got a question for you. I'm seeing legs are being worked, back. We got a 600-pound tire there for flip or something. I mean, that's going to be that heavy one. Reach that metabolic training. What about things like chest or arms? I mean, do you guys, say you as in CrossFit community, Would you train chest and isolated? Do you hit the biceps independent of other muscle groups, or do you combine them all in and say, look, we hit this, this, and this within this one movement?
Yeah, there's not so much isolation movements about the whole kinetic chain working together, you know, when you're working out. But with that being said, people do like to do their bench press and curls and things like that.
It's hard to get away from.
Yeah, it really is, and everyone usually has like their background is in stationary isolation training, and so when they come to CrossFit, there's still those aspects that you love to do and still train at, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're not saying that it is, but the way we train, we believe, is more functional and effective for the day-to-day life.
Absolutely.
But we still do incorporate chest workouts because people like to do it, so we'll still make a CrossFit workout, so to speak, including, pressing.
You address their wants and their needs. In the gym community, a lot of people will always ask that question, what do you bench?
Yes.
What would be the equivalent for a CrossFitter? What would they ask you as that benchmark?
Benchmark for that would be everything foundational is from the ground up. So it'd be what's your deadlift, what's your back squat. Okay. And then more technical would be what's your clean and jerk, type of thing.
Numbers that I could answer to. It's when you start throwing in what's your 400-meter sprint, or what's your 7-minute time on doing that.
What's your 5K time for running?
That ain't gonna happen. Okay, moving around, then I do see dumbbells. We got the kettlebells there, kettlebell, and I love the fact that you incorporate more of this strength training. You got the Atlas balls over there. This is something that pretty much every gym won't have. Correct. You see guys in there benching, squatting, maybe deadlifting, maybe doing more of the Olympic power lift. But when it comes to this, what I like to think of as strongman training, you can't do this in a conventional gym. So there seems to be a huge benefit with having this big open space for people to experience and actually try a completely different movement.
Yeah. One thing that makes a big difference is a lot of CrossFit boxes are referred to as boxes, typically not gyms. So CrossFit boxes.
CrossFit box, it makes sense, yeah.
Because typically they're in a box, like a warehouse, like you see around here. They're usually smaller. You can do a lot of work in a little space, but when you have a bigger space, it's even better. So we have the luxury of getting those Atlas stones that we can do carries with, and on the turf, and sled pulls on the prowlers, weighted sled pulls, and
that's starting to
we incorporate a lot of strongman lifting and at Trojan CrossFit, as well as power lifting like band resisted deadlift and squats, and
you cover the full spectrum there.
Yeah,
we try to any activity that any sport or skill set would consist of, you do it here in CrossFit.
Correct. Just want to be prepared.
Prepared. Okay, prepared for what? But I mean, anything.
Whatever they throw at you at the games, you never know.
That's when people say, "What do you train for?" And if I say, "Oh, competition," which is standing on stage, you're not doing much. I guess you guys have something that is far, far greater than that. Tell me more about the games, because I know that's got big in recent years.
Yes.
What does that consist of?
CrossFit Games, the cool thing about it is that you don't know what it consists of.
Really?
A lot of times till you show up, or 2 or 3 days before the actual event.
So it's hard to train specifically for an event.
Yeah, that's why it's very broad in what we're doing. The rope climbs, the sprints, the running, the pulling, the pushing, swimming, running, rowing, everything. I mean, you're just trying to hit on every aspect of fitness that you can. Mm-hmm. You never know what's going to be thrown at you in the game.
That's a great way of thinking about it, is that unexpected challenge and preparing for the unexpected.
Correct.
Okay, something to incorporate into weight training. Finally, I see that we've got a sort of completely different playground over there. We did parkour free running in the past on shows, and I know that those guys love the whole plyometrics and their own body weight, and they do phenomenal stuff. What are the benefits and uses for lifting your own body weight? I guess similar to being able to jump up, to be able to use those muscles and lift up. Tell us more about the exercises that we would perform with the rings.
On the rings and pull-up rigs, one thing for pull-up rig is stationary, so you do a lot of pull-ups on it, chin-ups, toes to bars, which is an abdominal workout, knees to elbows, even bar muscle-ups. Pretty much you're mastering your body weight at that point with the bars, which can be very functional, obviously, depending on your line of work, especially on a day-to-day basis when you're pulling yourself. If you have to climb a wall or anything, you're in law enforcement, military, first responder.
Right, that's key.
That's huge.
Yep.
And then the rings, that makes it more difficult because it's not a stationary.
It's that challenge aspect, taking away
There's
that.
a lot of stability muscles that you're gonna have to use with ring pull-ups, ring dips, muscle-ups, even ring handstand push-ups.
That's the gymnastic area over there. And then you've got the
aspect.
strongman over here and the kind of endurance area over there. Let's get now to talking about the diet and more about the body, because it seems like you really are doing everything that will strengthen and condition and add power and mass to the body. Mm-hmm. Is there a kind of a stereotype body image? Are we looking at more of the muscular build? Is this more about endurance and those sinewy muscle groups.
Yeah. The neat thing about CrossFit, I think, is people can be so unassuming. You'll walk in and see someone with a smaller stature.
Yes.
And you'll be like, I'm going to blow them away in this workout because I weigh 40 pounds more than them. They're lifting just as much as you. There'll be a 145-pound guy, clean and jerking, 275, 300 pounds, and you're like, how is that possible?
And that's the impressive part. They're kind of like that cobra. They may not look that impressive on first impressions, but then when they start to show their true strength, it blows physique guys out of the water.
And the big thing is performing, learning how your body works. Everybody's different. Everybody's built different. It's about finding what works out for them. But basically, our diet consists of like no wheat, no sugar, little starch. You're staying away from most complex carbs. You're doing fruit, vegetables, your meat, your nuts.
So fully encompassing that paleo lifestyle.
Yeah, it's basically most CrossFitters look in the paleo or the zone type of diet. So where it's limiting their type of carbs, high protein, higher fat, medium carbs. But like I said, it depends on the person, how they perform off of it. You make tweaks as you go.
It seems to be one of the disciplines that really is focused around nutrition more so than any other sports. I mean, over the past year with the Nice Body feature, we've looked at 12 different disciplines, from sprinting to Cirque du Soleil to combat training, and CrossFit seems to be the real one, perhaps bar bodybuilding. But it seems to be the real one that is focused around nutrition as much as the training aspect itself. I mean, the two together show. You said earlier, what your body can achieve and knowing what your body can do, and I think that's huge as part of just training. I mean, who doesn't want to see what their body can do? Yeah,
eliminating all those complex carbs that people, the typical American diet is carbs, cereal, and for breakfast. Have a bar later, have some, rice, and chicken for lunch, and then later you're having some bread with dinner. You're constantly putting your body in storage mode.
Fat builds up.
Yep. So with this, taking away those complex carbs, incorporating the simple, carbs like sugar, vegetables and fruits and things like that, your body knows how to break them down, knows how to process it.
It's functioning optimally too.
Exactly.
Right, which is really come back full circle to the CrossFit mentality. It's optimizing your body's performance.
Correct.
Cameron, final few points then. If anyone's looking at this and thinking they want to get into CrossFit, they want to start to incorporate some of the CrossFit training methods into a gym workout, what would be maybe the top 3 tips that you can give from CrossFit to your average weightlifter watching?
Would be to push yourself. Don't rely too much on your rest time. Your body can do a lot on a little bit of rest time. It depends what your goal is. Obviously, if you're a bodybuilder, that's different. But if you're typically just trying to stay in shape, minimize your rest time. Push your heart rate up. Try that. Do different things. Don't always stick with the same routine.
Absolutely, I like that.
Switch up your routine. Do something different. If you've never done yoga and you're a bodybuilder, I dare you to go take a yoga class. It'll probably kick your butt.
Yeah, you heard him. Day 2.
Try something different. Doing things different.
That's good tip.
And everything relies around your diet. You have to take your diet serious if you want to see any measurable results.
I mean, you are what you eat. You put good food in, you're going to get the results out. You're training, you're recovering. You stay on that track. It's progression and results.
Nutrition is foundational.
I think on that note, that says it all. Cameron, thanks so much for inviting us down there.
It's great meeting you.
Watch more of our, it's good meeting you too. Watch more of our 3-part series here at Trojan CrossFit, when I'll be breaking down 3 of those disciplines and showing you how to incorporate that CrossFit training into your average regular weight training. Stay tuned for more. See you then.